Welcome to the Prophecy Club. I'm going to be playing the audio of a DVD that is one of our most popular DVDs. In most cases, everybody wants the latest DVD. Well, in this case, you may want the most popular DVD, even though this was taped in May of 2000, some 15 years ago. Ken Peters received a dream about 35 years ago, the night he was called to be a prophet. He lived through the first 3.5 years of the Tribulation. He saw amazing things, how TVs listened and watched them in their home. He was shown what the mark of the beast looked like, the Antichrist, how he spreads the Antichrist message on large building-sized screens that we don't even have today. Many events in his dream have already come to pass. Yet this was taped in May of 2000, yet it continues to be one of our most popular DVDs. People call in and not just get one copy, but many copies of it to hand around to their friends. It's called I Saw the Tribulation. Now get this. This was the first, last, and only time he has ever told these dreams. No other place. Matter of fact, I just talked to him 6 weeks ago. Asked him if he'd come on the radio and discuss it. Absolutely not. This is the only place you can get these two dreams. So if you want to know what many Christians say is the best peek into what the first 3.5 years of the tribulation, you'll get this 2.5-hour DVD. Normally we ask a donation of $30 for our DVDs, but today you can get this one for a gift of just $20, but we're going to do better than that. You can get 10 copies of it for only $75. That's $7.50. That's right, $7.50 each, but you got to get all the same title now. It's called I Saw the Tribulation. You can't get this offer on the internet. You got to call 785-266-1112. 785-266-1112, one of the most popular DVDs out of 150 speakers, making 300 DVDs over the last 22 years. This is close to the top. One of the most popular DVDs we've ever made, 785-266-1112. Now, for the next couple of days, I'm going to be playing parts of it. Let's go listen to Ken Peters tell his dream that came to him about 35 years ago. I Saw the Tribulation.
I want to begin to start sharing with you tonight, first from a background that may seem a little unusual to you, from where I came from, and you may have to actually try to place yourself in the type of thinking that I was involved in at the time. I was born and raised as a Roman Catholic. My parents were Portuguese and Irish, and so there's a long lineage there of Roman Catholicism. So if you can possibly try tonight to put yourself in that kind of thinking, I think the presentation of the dream might help you. Is there anybody here tonight that was a practicing Roman Catholic before they met Jesus? Quite a few here tonight. Keep your hands up. That way I know who my friends are later on. Oh, okay, good, good. You'll know what I'm talking about in some of the different aspects of this presentation. As a little boy, I began to have visions. I wasn't sure what a vision was. This first happened to me as we were doing a traditional ceremony in the church called Stations of the Cross. Some of you folks might remember what that was. These were 10 stations set up in a Catholic church where you would pray the rosary. When I received this dream, to kind of skip ahead just a moment, I was not a Christian. I wasn't saved. I hadn't read really much of the Bible whatsoever, except a few passages on Sunday in church. We had a few passages that we would read occasionally. And in high school, I read the Gospel of John. So I wasn't in a place where I knew what was happening in this dream. And this disturbed me greatly. And so you'll see tonight, as this begins to unfold, that God is an amazing God as to why He would reveal something to someone that knew nothing at all. And so I'm going to kind of ask you, try to put yourself in that place tonight, realizing that don't sit in here tonight for long as you're hearing the dream, knowing what you know right now, but try to put yourself, so to speak, in a place where you didn't know any of this, and it was being revealed to you in such a way that it was the first time that you ever saw or heard such things uttered. As I said, I began to have visions as a little boy in the second grade. The first time was when the Stations of the Cross, which were pictures on the wall, actually came to life, and Jesus was carrying the cross in the week of Passion. I saw him as a little boy with the crown of thorns on his head, just shoved into his head. They were long thorns. They weren't like what I had always thought in my mind, maybe like rose thorns or something like that, but they were long thorns, and they were actually, some of them were protruding from the sides of his head. He was bleeding a great deal down his face. His face was beaten extensively, almost to the point that it was difficult to tell who this person was. Many things I've learned over the years from following the Lord that were actually clear scriptural directions about his life that I saw in visions before I had read the Bible. This is part of the reason that I'm so certain about things that God has shown me, because of how they've come to pass and played themselves out. As I saw this, I saw from the point of him carrying the cross where the lacerations on his back were more than just stripes. I always imagined in my mind they were just, stripe marks, but they were actually deep lacerations where even the tissue of his muscles were exposed. And so it was a very gruesome thing to see as a little boy. I saw him crucified. The cross I saw was not high off the ground, but actually only about 2 feet off the ground. And I saw dogs urinating on the cross. I saw people spitting on him. I saw people mocking him verbally. It was a very, very violent scene that I saw as a little boy. If you can just try to imagine for a few moments a second grader seeing this, and it actually was played out to me in a vision that seems much more real than you being here tonight in front of my own eyes. I don't know how to explain right now how that happens. I just believe that God chooses to do things because He's God and He's omniscient and He has His ways. I wish somehow I could tell you the formula for how your mind works in a vision, but I just don't know. This began to keep continuing in my life till about 7th grade, and I finally got to a point where the peer pressure and the troubles that I was getting in with my friends because of crying and being touched by the presence of the Lord, although I didn't know that that's what was happening, I was being kind of persecuted for it. My family thought I was a little off. And so I pretty much asked God, stop this. I don't want any more of this. This is not blessing me. This is not helping me. I'm losing my friends. I'm losing credibility with my family. They think I'm nutty. They think I'm losing my marbles. And so just stop this. And it stopped. And I must say, about a short time after that, I became quite rebellious. At the point, up until that point where I asked it to stop, I was a very sensitive young person, real obedient to my parents, just a good student, had won some citywide awards. But as soon as I asked this to stop, pretty much my life began to really take a clear direction in the wrong path. Several years later, I had gotten married, and in early 1980, around August, I went to sleep this night, just about like any other night. I want to tell you some specifics so you'll know. I was not intoxicated. I was not under the influence of any hallucinogenic drugs, although there had been some times I had smoked marijuana and had drank in my life. The night that I had this dream, I did not go to bed in a condition of stupor or intoxicated or anything like that. I fell asleep, and it was one of those types of nights when you kind of can tell you're falling asleep. You kind of, drift off, and you're just about asleep. Just as soon as I fell into sleep, this dream began to start. It started with a very, very, very loud noise. The best description that I can give to you would be to tell you it sounded like a car horn from the 70s. How many remember what car horns sounded like in the 70s? They were very loud horns in those days, or now they're just kind of a little beep, 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 beep kind of horn. But in those days, if you really laid on the horn, they were loud. This kind of sounded like that, except for it was extremely loud, very ear-piercing, and it lasted for a long period of time, kind of like a stuck horn. Has anyone ever heard a stuck horn? Yeah. It was very similar to that. Right at that moment of hearing this, I was given the ability. Again, I'll share with you some things that seem to be very chronological in how this dream worked out. And yet, in some places, I can't tell you specific time frames because it was almost as though I was interjected into different situations without the understanding of time moving along. Some things were just very panoramic. It was just a wide, big picture that I saw. But at this point of the dream, I was given the opportunity to see kind of from the heavens looking down on the earth. And what I saw was that I was able to see, the globe was kind of out here like this, and I was able to see very clearly many cemeteries and graveyards. Then I was brought very close to many of these graveyards, and what I saw was a very unusual thing to me. It was that the ground was breaking open. Literally, the dirt was breaking open kind of violently, and people were coming out of the graves. I'll tell you that as a Catholic, I prayed many, many times that I believed in the resurrection of the dead. But I don't really believe at that point, in the dream especially, that I was persuaded that that would actually happen. I know now that that's what I saw. I saw dead people resurrected from the graves. The condition that they came out was very unusual. And the other thing that was unusual is that one cemetery plot headstone would have a person come out of the dirt, and one next to it would not. It seemed to be kind of a not just random, but kind of a categorized launching, so to speak, of these people out of the dirt. Again, it was very violent. It was almost as though the dirt was receiving a small explosion or something and breaking open. And I literally saw dirt flying. And I saw this all over the globe. It wasn't just in one area. It wasn't just in, say, the United States. It was all over. And when people would begin to come out, their appearance, two things about their appearance first astounded me. The first thing was that the clothes they were wearing seemed to be like a choir robe. They were kind of like a long dress, so to speak, a cloak almost hanging off them. But in the middle of the day, it was like those outfits that entertainers wear when they're under the lights, and the lights, key in on them, and the sequins kind of make the light just shoot off and they glimmer. These people came out in the middle of the day glimmering. Their outfits and their person was brighter than the sun. I wish I could explain that to you, other than I could see the brightness of these people coming out. Men, although they had these robes on, appeared to be very, very masculine. I always used to think that, those robes I had to wear when I graduated from school kind of looked kind of feminine, but these things that these people were wearing were masculine, and yet when women were resurrected, they looked very feminine. Again, I'm going to give you the dream exactly as I saw it. Some things I wish sounded more exciting, and other things I wish were just a bit tamer, but I'm going to give it to you exactly as I saw it. These people that came out, it was difficult for me to explain this over the years. Older people would come out with the appearance that they were old, but they weren't old. You could tell that they had lived a full life, maybe 80 years, 75 years, something like that. But say, for instance, their hair that was lost was back again. They looked mature, but they didn't look aged. Okay? Young people, I saw a lot of young people resurrected, and although they looked very young, they weren't very young. There was a maturity about them. I wish, again, I could clearly define how this appeared during the dream. The position that I was in at this time didn't give me the allowance to understand these things because of the staunch Catholicism that my family and I had practiced. I had never heard of Protestant Christian practices. I had never been to a Protestant church. I had never experienced someone witnessing to me the gospel of Jesus Christ and the plan of salvation. I had never read the book of Revelation. And to be very, very frank with you, even to this day, it would have been a lot easier for my life if I would have never been given this dream. I wanted to just kind of do my thing and carry on with my life. I thought it was going just fine until this began to happen. So just to help you understand, I did not ask for this. I've never asked to see the Lord. I've never asked to see angels. I've never asked to have visions. Usually every time I get something like this, I end up getting in some sort of trouble. And so I don't really like the trouble that kind of follows you when God starts to show you things. The other thing that I want to make clear to you is when this was happening, I really didn't understand that it was God at first. And so just to have you understand where I came from, there was no desire for me to experience this dream. All of a sudden, the people that came out, they just disappeared. I wish I could tell you where I saw them go. I don't know. I don't know if they were taken and hidden somewhere. I don't know if they were taken in the clouds, because I never saw them go up. I never saw them go away. They just vanished. Okay? One thing I can tell you is I did not see one person on planet Earth changed like we've read in the Bible, where it says, you know, the dead in Christ shall rise first, and those which are alive and remain shall be changed. I didn't see anybody at that point, when I saw these people come out of the grave, changed or get zapped out of planet Earth, meet the Lord in the clouds. I didn't see anything like that. Okay? Again, I need to tell you, I had never heard of a rapture. As a Catholic, second coming of Christ was not even a dogma of our church. We didn't practice the belief in a second literal coming of Jesus Christ. And so this all was very foreign to me. And as soon as these people disappeared, for a lack of words, wherever they went, mass hysteria began to hit the earth. People had the appearance of absolute despair, hysteria. There was pandemonium everywhere. There was mass chaos. Lawlessness and fear was working everywhere. I was able again to see in many quadrants of the earth, and there wasn't any one nation that was under this. All of the globe was experiencing this. It was a very, very unusual instance that happened. In the dream, I wasn't able always to perceive what was going on, and yet I was still struggling with my mind during the dream. I don't know if you've ever had dreams where you were dreaming things, but in your mind you were very much aware that you were dreaming, and it was almost kind of like you were two people. You know what I mean? It's like you were almost divided. I was seeing the dream happening, and yet in my mind I was really not wanting to be a part of this dream. But to be very frank with you, I had no choice as this dream was unfolding. And by the way, it lasted the whole night with the interruption at about 3 o'clock in the morning. I had no control to come out of this dream. I will tell you that I've learned how to change my dreams. When I go to bed and the devil decides to try to give me a bad dream, I've learned how to tell my mind, not going there. Nobody's going to chase me with a gun and try to shoot me. I'll just change it. Well, let me tell you, I could not change this one. I wished I could have somehow. Definitely, my life for 20 years, part of it anyways, would have been a whole lot easier. It wasn't easy to receive this. It wasn't easy to sit on it for the amount of time that I've had to sit on it. My credibility has come into question many, many times because of, well, if this is so powerful, why didn't you share it? Well, I firmly believe that if I would have shared this publicly when I got this, one, nobody would believe me, because there was no credibility established in my ministry, and two, it would have probably destroyed me because I didn't possess the character of Christ needful to really walk out something like this and understand what all entails with a revelation like this. Paul talked about revelations coming and bringing trials, and so I know that I really wasn't ready for this. As the mass pandemonium and despair began to permeate society, there was a very unusual event that happened. Television, telephone, radio, and this other unusual communication device I was able to see into many, many homes in the United States, these white boxes that were about this big that looked to be like televisions. And when I saw these, they were in nearly every single home in the U.S., and they would have words written across them, and occasionally it would almost look as though television was playing through them. All of those media devices were shut down for about a 2-week period. I know now that what I was seeing was personal computers in people's homes. In 1980, I've done some studies, by the way, about all the things I saw to see if, in fact, I was hearing something from God, because I'm not about to go on national television or around the globe and share this if it's incorrect. I have a ministry of my own right now, and I don't feel like jeopardizing what the Lord has established for the past 17 years. In 1980 and 81, there was less than 0.5% of American homes that had a computer in it, personal computer. IBM was just transitioning from data entry cards into hard drive and RAM memory into their computer processes. The one computer that was on the scene at the time was called a Commodore. Some of you might remember that. It was actually a word processor with a very, very small amount of memory. And so I saw these in homes just about everywhere. All these things were shut down. One of the things that was happening during this hysteria was many peoples were asking, where did these people go? What happened? And all the globe saw this event, or they experienced it afterwards. What I saw in people was that literally nearly everyone I experienced had a great look of despair and hopelessness upon their face. Everywhere I went, there was hopelessness. Nobody seemed to be happy about living. You know, I've never experienced that. I've been to a lot of public places where people are bummed out, not happy, not doing well, but not the globe in masses. I don't know, maybe you've seen that. I haven't. So this hysteria brought a complete hopelessness and total perplexity to just about everyone. The television communications were down for a period of time. Again, people have asked me, well, what do you think caused that? I'm really not positive, but I would like to put something on the overhead tonight to show you an article. And for many of you Prophecy Club folks here tonight, this isn't new information to you. For some of the visitors that might be here, this may be very new information. This was an article, let me move this down just a hair. This was an article that was given to me 2 weeks before this tour started. Let me share with you a few details. I did not want to take this tour, okay? I really did not want to connect to the Prophecy Club. When I got the prophecy for them, the Lord had told me some things about this ministry and how everything they were saying was about the end times. And I'm thinking, no, I don't want to go there. I've been booted out of enough churches. I've been persecuted enough for my position. I'm not going to hook up with anybody that's going to just completely declare the end as they really believe it. Now, you know, all of us have to leave the fear of man sooner or later in our lives. Amen? So that's what I had to do. And when I was praying about this tour, the Lord said He would give me daily a sign everywhere I went, a sign in the natural that what I had seen was truly Him. We walked in the airport today. We were coming through the terminal, and He showed me a Humvee sitting in the main area of the terminal of this airport. And by the way, it was the exact type that I saw. The one that I'm going to show you tonight on the overheads later, it's not the same one. This article was a reprint. Actually, I have the original copy if you would like it. I can get it to Prophecy Club, and you could request that. They'll, you know, get it to you. This was in the 1991 Santa Barbara, California News Press paper. This has to do with a single high-altitude nuclear blast by a rogue nation which would bombard the continental United States with electromagnetic rays, crippling civil and military electronics from light bulbs to computers. Military experts warned Congress Wednesday. Such an explosion would unleash electromagnetic pulse. I'm going to move this up just a hair. Would release an electromagnetic pulse that would erase computer data in banks, stock market, halt cars, trucks, shut down electricity in the lower 48 states. This is interesting to me because I prophesied a long time ago that Alaska would not experience the judgment that the 48 states would receive. I got this paper and I thought, oh, that's interesting. The pulse would last only a fraction of a second. Our civilian telephone, electricity, communications, and electronic plants are all naked to our nuclear-armed enemies, said Lowell Wood, a physicist with the Lawrence Livermore Laboratories. Even a modest single explosion EMP attack on the U.S. would likely devastate us as a modern post-industrial nation. Any nuclear-capable nation, including Russia, China, and North Korea. I'm going to talk to you tonight about North Korea, some specifics. I have some inside information that the Lord has allowed me to see about North Korea and China. Any nuclear-capable nation, including these nations, could cripple the U.S. military machine and lay waste to modern American civilization, said Wood, who also is a consultant to the Defense Department. Again, that's an article from the 1991 Santa Barbara News Press. How many folks here tonight already know about that? Some things that we learn in the natural. Other things we learn in the Spirit. Much of what I've learned about end-time revelation has been in the prayer closet. I haven't got to go into government strategic positions and things like that except in the Spirit. And so I'm actually quite excited that God is showing me some things that other men have got to be a part of by being strategically placed. This shutdown alarmed all of the peoples, and it lasted for about 2 weeks. Can you imagine briefly tonight all of your communications, your telephone, computers, television, and radio being shut down for a 2-week period of time. Can you imagine the hysteria? Can you imagine, the inability for a supermarket to contact its suppliers to get more supplies, or gasoline, or transactions? It's amazing when you begin to see it kind of unfold the depth. This lasted about 2 weeks. Again, I want to remind you, I was not a prophecy studier or expert at this time when this vision came to me. I began to walk the streets in shock at the current events. The events are difficult to describe because lawlessness and fear was permeating society completely. After about 2 weeks of time, television and radio began to be back up and running. However, it was completely different than what was previously being broadcast. The broadcasts were being bombarded nearly everywhere, and they were depicting a soon-to-come new government and leadership. A man would be emerging to lead us. The man finally came on the scene, and he spoke with great eloquence. I wrote these things down exactly as I saw them. He spoke with great eloquence and charisma. He was soothing and promised answers to all current issues. This man was smooth and extremely convincing, able to solve nearly all problems. He was a consummate communicator, and he explained how this removal of people was God's judgment upon them. This rattled me in the dream. I did not understand his position. Let me tell you so you can kind of comprehend where I'm coming from. Not being a born-again Christian in the dream, when this man spoke, it began to convince me. It began to pull me in to the messages. I don't know if any of you have seen old films of Adolf Hitler speaking to the masses, but he had a demonic charisma about him that would literally pull the masses to him. That was nothing compared to what I saw. Nothing. He was able to rally a nation. This individual was rallying the globe. It was very, very frightening. Almost immediately, he began to communicate through large-screen televisions.
Well, brothers and sisters, I'm going to interrupt the broadcast right there, but I encourage you to call in and at least get one copy of this. Normally $30. Today you can get it for a gift of just $20, or even better, get 10 copies to give away to your friends and family for a gift of just $75. Never have we offered our DVDs that cheap ever before, maybe never again. 10 copies of the same title called I Saw the Tribulation by calling 785-266-1112. 785-266-1112. This one is not available on the internet. You got to call 785-266-1112. Ken Peters, I Saw the Tribulation. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers, and thank you for your regular monthly support. God bless. Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. Yes, you can still get the 2 DVDs by Michael Snyder, Prepare for the Economic Collapse, World War III, and The Regathering of the 10 Lost Tribes of Israel, for a gift of $50. However, the best deal is get the April gift offer, which includes the last 4 speakers having 6 DVDs, a value of $180 for a gift of just $90. In addition to Michael Snyder's 2 DVDs, you get Standing for the Lord, which tells the amazing story of how God got Christine Wyke past 2 key entry doors and 2 checkpoints to proclaim Jesus is Lord during Muslims worshiping Allah in a Christian church. Then in Prophecies and the Bible Codes, Jonathan Wright is the only Christian that is researching Bible prophecy in the Bible Codes. He's found amazing information presented in over 100 charts in this triple DVD set. So that would be 6 DVDs over the last 4 speakers at the Prophecy Club in the April gift offer, valued at $180 for a gift of just $90. Call 785-266-1112 and ask for the April gift offer, or go to prophecyclub.com. That's the April gift offer, 4 speakers, 6 DVDs, valued at $180 for a gift of just $90. 785-266-1112 or prophecyclub.com. Order today.